Hey everyone, what's the crack?
A lot going on in the world right now,
Is there? Haven't
especially
noticed.
especially
Really?
in my backyard. I got a lot going on. Well, not actually in my backyard. My backyard is good. I'm okay. I'm safe. For those that are wondering what the heck I'm even on about, the fires in LA are brewing right now. We're still right in the midst of that. So it's been a little crazy, but we aside from that, I'm good. I'm safe. We have a lot that we're going to talk about today. David, you want to kind of let us know what it is that's on the discussion
Yeah,
tonight?
so we're going to be talking about the LA fires, its impact on Magic. The Magic Castle obviously is in LA, as long as like a lot of performers and stuff like that. So we'll be talking through that. We've got going to be talking about just the general topic of people who've been stealing of someone else's act, not like just taking inspiration, but like saying their act word for word, trick for trick. It's happened a few times now over the years. And the last thing we're going to be talking about the Magic tech support. So what's going on with Magic apps? What's reasonable to expect from support? What's you just being a dick? Do you know, it's like trying to get the balance up. So we're going to be going through all those topics today,
Know where
and
you
also,
know where you are.
yeah, and like it's a month from Blackpool now, so we'll probably be talking about that in the background. And none of us made it to the session convention in London, but I heard it was good this weekend. So if you were there, comment down below, let us know what it was like, what was your highlights, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, will we go on to the first topic?
Yeah, so the fires in LA, for those that don't know, there was I don't know how many fires are even going right now, but at one point I want to say there was four or even five fires all going at once, and they were pretty massive fires. The one that most magicians are talking about is the Sunset Fire that started around Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. And the reason a lot of people were talking about that one was because it was very close to the Magic Castle. Like I'm sure you've seen the pictures that have been going around.
Yeah.
I posted
Hmm.
one on my social media as well. But the fire was like they were at the Magic Castle with hoses spraying it down. The fire was right behind them. It was very close. Luckily, they were able to get it contained. And I don't know if that fire is 100% out yet or not, but the Magic Castle does appear to be no longer in danger, so that's good. Having said that, now there are major fires all over Los Angeles, and to kind of put into perspective the scale, um, the fires are not just like little wildfires that burned a few houses down. These are citywide fires. Imagine um I don't know, I'm trying to put into perspective. Like imagine Manhattan, New York, the island that New York City sits on. The entire thing was just on fire and all of the buildings were destroyed. That's basically what Los Angeles is going through right now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty bad. So having said that, a lot of magicians, people that we might even know that we're friends with on social media, or off of social media, have been affected by the fire. Some people worse than others. Some people injured. Some people just completely losing their homes and all of that stuff. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to give a shout out to the Di Vernon Foundation. I'm gonna leave a link. We're gonna put a link in the description here
Yeah.
of this video where you guys can go to donate. Basically what the Di Vernon Foundation is a place where you can donate to a good cause that specifically is designed to help magicians in need. So in this case, a lot of the funding that's going to go to that is going to go to helping folks that were impacted by the fires in Los Angeles. But if you guys are just looking for somewhere that you guys can help and give back to those folks that were impacted by it, definitely look into the Di Vernon Foundation. And if you want, you're welcome to just donate to any foundation that's going to help the folks in LA anyway. I'm sure there's hundreds, if not more, different charity organizations that are working to donate and help out with all of that. I don't know how emergency response is abroad, but the United States is always very slow to roll out. I'm sure it's the same other parts of the world too. But the emergency response, as far as getting people the money that they need to just even buy the bare essentials, to buy toothpaste, deodorant, clothes, water, food. Fortunately, shelter is being provided for a lot of folks. But it's one of those situations, where it's like you have like 100 beds, like in a gymnasium somewhere, just to keep people out of the cold, because it's also really cold right now. And one of the major contributing factors to the fires has been how windy it is. So I actually dropped my wife off at LAX, Los Angeles Airport, last week, and this is when the fires were just starting, so none of us really knew how big of a deal it was. And I remember like, oh wow, there's like a fire over there. That's crazy. And I dropped her off at the airport, and on my way back home, there was like a major traffic jam on one of the highways, so we kind of went the other way. And my daughter was in the back seat, and she's like, "Papa, is it raining?" I'm like, "No, honey, it's not raining. It's like the wind is just blowing all of the ash and dirt and everything into the car."
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, the winds were like crazy. It was blowing trees over. Like there were trees just lied down in the middle of the roadway. It was blowing roofs and shingles off the roofs of houses. So it was pretty bad. And to
Yeah,
add
wind and
insult.
fire wind and fire is not a good combination, because you can think you can stop it traveling by land, but then when the ash is airborne and the embers are airborne, it's
Oh, and
very
that's and,
difficult to
and that's
stop it.
why there's so many of them. Exactly why there's so many of them. And the fires are all over. It's not like there was a few fires in this little area. They were like all over Los Angeles, just because the winds are kicking stuff up and all of that. And then, like I said, to add insult to injury, a lot of people lost their fire insurance, their protection on their homes, like months before this happened. So a lot of people lost all their homes, and then they're not even going to get any kind of coverage on that.
No.
So, like I
Yeah.
said, I don't
Don't
want to
get me
go on
started
too
on
much about
insurance.
it. Yeah, I don't want to go too much on about it. But just to let you guys know, like the whole reason and I apologize. I'll let you guys get your 2 pence, and I promise. But the whole reason that I'm, going on about this so much is I just want people to know that this is a really big deal. And if you do have the ability to help out in any way that you can, even if it's just offering, a few dollars or whatever to the Divergent Foundation, I think that would be very helpful. But David, Steve, what are you guys' thoughts on all of this?
Just seeing, like, all the footage and pictures and a lot of social media and stuff, it's unbelievable. Like it just looks like a war zone, or a natural, like a big huge natural disaster. It does look like, I know we hear here, oh, it's just some fires, whatever, but when you hear and then you see the kind of the gratitude, it's just huge. Like, it's massive. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's like
mean,
fires.
Mark was out there.
It's that new sort of natural disaster, like not going to like climate change
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff. But like we all know, like volcano, earthquake, tornado, but just wildfire in like dry climates. That's a natural disaster. Even if there's different things that can make it worse, from just the world we live in.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Last week
it's
I was at the Pendulum Summit in Dublin, and Sugar Ray Leonard was there, and they were talking about when they get back to Los Angeles, and they were worried because they didn't know where the fire was at that point, and all this kind of stuff. And the guy that's with him, who's his like security, but he's a Muay Thai world champion boxer called the One Arm Bandit, a guy called Baxter. He didn't know what his home was going to be like because the fire was quite close when he was in Dublin, and then when he got back, his home was gone. So I just saw some posts earlier today. So yeah, I mean, it's just awful, and it's not just your home, but it's all your, obviously, your possessions and your memories and everything else. So it's, obviously, if people are safe and they got out of their home, that's great. But when you lose everything, it's can't, a government check for a couple of $100 is not going to cut it. Like,
Yeah, it is the memories thing that you always talk about. That thing, because even like people can look at celebrities and stuff and be like, oh, they can afford a new house, but like you can't replace the thing where you measured the height of your kids on the door frame and stuff. And that's why
sure,
like properties damage, whether it's like a natural disaster, an arson attack, war, like buildings can be rebuilt, but the like buildings aren't just buildings; they have memories to them. So
yeah.
it's
mm,
like we need to like leave people houses, like try and protect people's houses in everywhere in the world in every way we can, because it's like you just need
how
to trust
how
people.
far are you from like the worst area or whatever?
Yeah, so I live in San Bernardino County, which I'm about 70 miles away from the nearest fire. So I'm
Mm,
okay. I
yeah,
mean, knock on every piece of wood you can find.
yeah,
We had massive fires out here in San Bernardino a few months ago. a couple that were very close to our home as well. So I can completely empathize with those that are scared, that live in LA, that haven't yet had to evacuate. That feeling of just being like, crap, man, we got to get our stuff packed. We got to figure out what we're going to take. We got to make sure that we got everything that we need just to be able to survive for the next like few days, because we don't know how long it's going to be. You know, you could be evacuated and put somewhere and you don't know how long it's going to be. Luckily for us, my mother-in-law lives not too far from us, but far enough that it was out of the way, so we at least had somewhere to go. But still, it's like, you know, you never know. And so yeah, it's pretty scary. But thank you for asking. Yeah, like I said, we're safe. We're far enough away from it that's not too much of a worry.
Like worst case scenario, if it spreads, your poor wife and daughter will have to spend a weekend in Blackpool to be safe. And like,
I know, and
I don't know if there's
isn't
a
that
worst
how that
case
works out? Like, could you imagine?
like
No, it's
the two of them around a lot of magicians.
that's right.
Your
No,
wife would be like, Los Angeles, but now I'm in hell. And this
yeah,
is-
no, she would tell me, she'd be like, oh, so you're not just an asshole, it's all magicians. Okay, I get it. So, it's not just you. It's good to know that.
It's a communal.
magician
Yeah.
is the job, it's a personality type.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I really have about the LA fires. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you'd like to add, leave a comment in the comment section below. Oh, actually, one last thing too. This is kind of a silly thing. But if you have any magic that you're not using, old books, things that, you know, just collecting dust on your shelf on the shelves, if you're able to, I don't know if the Divernon Foundation is taking physical things, but if you're able to find some way to donate some of that stuff too. I saw a magician say something along the lines of like their whole magic collection was completely destroyed by the fire and they're going to try to rebuild it now. And I think it'd be kind of nice if it's like, you know, oh, my JB Bobo book was like burned up in the fire. Oh, I have a Bobo that I'm not reading anymore. It's just been sitting on my shelf collecting dust. Let me give you my copy. You know, something silly like that
Yeah,
too. I think.
it really can help, because I even saw it on Facebook the other day, or like a few weeks back, when Chris Congreve's car was stolen with his whole magic set. Like,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
geeking at the time, his whole magic thing was taken with the car. So like, people were so quick to donate stuff that they aren't using. I can't let my wife hear that. It's that the magic on my shelves gathering dust isn't crucial and important to me and my coziness. She'll make me sell it then.
Yeah. Hillary's going to load up your car with loads of magic stuff and then be like, it got stolen, Dave. I don't know.
You better donate that. And like, I know I haven't done my multiplying bottles yet, but I'm still working on a mentalism routine for it. But I'll get there in the end.
Donate it to somebody. Stop.
Yeah, but definitely, it's definitely worth donating to people if you are not using it. Like, we all have that magic drawer. That was just stuff, or you bought a backup for a trick and then you actually don't do the trick at all. You know, the usuals. But yeah,
100%
definitely,
awesome.
and definitely talk to anyone who's been affected, and especially anyone who's lost someone as well, because I know the deaths have been rising over the last few days as well. So hopefully everyone stays safe, and we can get into better times ahead once the fires go out, and hopefully.
And the weather is kind of crazy at the moment. Like, we've had like really cold temperatures of snow and ice, and so like, and across Europe as well. So yeah, it's in a bit of a high upheaval at the moment on all sides, you know. So yeah.
And that's why in my day job I do renewable energy. Look at that. Yeah, I'm saving the world. So the next topic that we have is stealing someone's act. So this is something that Joe gets talked about a lot, and it's not even just sometimes newbies, because we have talked about the thing of like, if you're new to magic, it's okay to imitate someone a bit to get your confidence up, but then eventually you have to go your own way. But it's different when it's more like in a professional setting where someone is just copying someone's act word for word and performing it out there. We've seen, like, one of the famous examples was someone who stole Pip's act and went out as a magic dragon and did the whole thing. So like, there's been some blatant stuff. There's been some like lesser known things, but you want to talk a bit more about this, Michael, as well?
Yeah, so there are a few specific examples that I think that I probably don't want to say by name, just because I don't want to start a whole nother series of drama about like outing people that are in the middle of these disputes and whatnot. But there are just a few things that I've seen over the years, and one that was very recent that has stirred up sort of a bit of drama here on my side of the pond. But people just straight up, like, I'm not even exaggerating, basically word for word, just doing the act and not getting permission to do so. And in some cases, being sent a letter asking them to cease and to stop doing the act, and then them basically just ignoring it. So there's, it's one of those things where it's okay if you draw inspiration from someone, right? Especially if you're just getting started out. You're figuring out who your character is. You're still kind of getting the hang of even just going out and performing for folks, let alone having your own unique brand and everything. But drawing inspiration from someone, there's a very thin line between that and just copying someone else's act completely. So any way that you can find ways to make whatever it is that you're taking inspiration from your own, you definitely want to do that. And at the very least, you want to get permission from the person if you're straight up going to do it. Perfect example. Lately, I've been doing Eric Jones' Spectators Visual Coins Across from his Mirage à Trois project. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that piece of coin magic. It's a beautiful piece of coin magic. And I've been doing it in my act for a while now. And so I reached out to Eric and I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know I absolutely love this piece of coin magic. I've been doing it in my act. Would it be okay with you if I include it in my act when I perform at the Magic Castle? And he said, as long as I'm not there that week, I trust that you're going to do it justice. You're not going to expose it. You're not going to make it look like crap. Have at it, Haas. You have my full permission to do it. And he appreciated that I reached out and asked him for permission for that. So it's just one of those things where it's like, and even then I make it my own. I'm not doing it word for word, I'm not doing I'm not doing the Eric Jones isms, and all of that stuff.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's what's been letting you down all these years,
That's right. Yeah. And so, it's like all you have to do is just, make it your own. And if, when in doubt, reach out and ask for permission from the creator, especially if it's something that you're going to do on TV, or if you're going to do it at a famous venue like the Circle or the Castle or something like that. So,
Or even a famous client or whatever, because it could spread. It could go viral massively. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely. I think it's that thing as well of like I don't know why I'd want to be doing something, especially like a word for word act where I'm doing the same jokes as another working performer. It's, like, there's one thing if the performer's in your area, but like, everyone's uploading their stuff to social media. You don't want someone to see you and go, "Oh, that was great," and then see a video of like someone 6 years ago on YouTube doing the exact same act, because they're not like, if it's a modern thing, they might think, "Oh, that guy ripped you off," but like,
Yeah.
you don't want that situation where they go, that off the cuff joke that you've rehearsed 20 times suddenly doesn't feel off the cuff anymore. You want to get your own personality in there and do that sort of stuff. And like, people release tricks, and there's a lot of tricks out there that are like, they're released with a very pared back presentation, and then when you see people performing it, they're doing the pared back presentation was included. It's just to teach you how to do the trick. The actual performer released it probably does it in a lot more like elaborate way when they're performing it, because you don't want to give someone your scripting. I was reading the book, actually, the 1914's new book, This Is Absolutely Real. And in the book, when the writer's going through it, he was saying that like, he's only including scripting where scripting is necessary to the method. If it's not necessary to method, like some of the equivoque or something, a little subtle thing here and there, he doesn't include it. 'Cause he's like, you should be using your own script. And I think it's important that magic is taught a bit more like that, especially at the more advanced levels.
Mm-hmm.
When everything was only written instruction, it was kind of like that. It would be like, a trick that teaches you, I don't know, let's say twisting the aces or something. They almost didn't even give you patter with it. They would just tell you what the trick was. Okay, now you're going to twist the aces by spinning it through your fingers, and now you're going to execute an Elmsley count, and now you're going to do a double lift. And like, that was basically the tutorial. You just had to read that, figure out what the presentation was supposed to be, or they might give you like a three sentence little paragraph that says, in this performance, you're going to show the spectators how simply twisting the aces allows them to turn over one at a time. And that was like all the presentation that you got. You had to figure it out for yourself.
And then you saw someone going, what you're about to see is how, by just twisting the aces, I can make them turn over one at a time.
Exactly.
That was the presentation.
Or that, or you got
sorry,
one
Steve,
of just add your own control here, whichever control you like, or
use your favorite method to control it to the top. Exactly. Yeah. It's just one of those things where, you know, don't be that guy, honestly, you know, or girl. Don't be that person that, you know, it's clearly on, and there's, in some cases it's clearly obvious. Again, I don't want to name names, but there was an act that went on a Got Talent show that basically did Shin Lim's exact routine. They used the soundtrack from Inception. They did the smoke. They did the faces that Shin Lim does and everything. It's like, it's clearly obvious that this person was trying to be
I was
Shin Lim.
trying my best, you know, just, you said you wouldn't bring it up. I was really trying hard that day, and I didn't know what else to do, so I did my Shin Lim impression, you know, like I was really...
It's all right. I'll give you a pass this one. But yeah, it's like, you know, and I don't know. It's like, I think you mentioned it earlier. Maybe Steve said it. You're gonna do this for someone, and it's gonna become big, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, Michael O'Brien did this really cool thing," and then it's gonna come out like, "Oh, he just kind of copied it from someone else. It's not actually his thing." Like, comedians protect their bit to a level that's almost ridiculous, where like you kind of almost can't have the same premise. Imagine if we did that in Magic. Like, well, I mean, David Blaine did an ambitious card routine, so you can't even do an ambitious card routine because he has claimed an ambitious card routine already. And if you do it, even if the method is completely different, even if the presentation is completely different, you're copying David Blaine, because at the end of the day, a card came up to the top of the deck over and over again. So it's the same, right? Imagine if we as magicians put the same level of protecting your act that even comedians do. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should do that. Obviously, that's a little extreme, but just, you know, the most basic thing, like, I don't know, just doing like the same exact presentation that someone's doing and change it a little bit, you know, make it unique, make it your own, you know. Don't do the card to pocket with regular cards. Do it with Pokemon cards, right? For example, I don't know, like whatever suits your personality.
It's kind of like the other one as well, of like people taking credit for an effect that clearly they didn't create. I remember it coming back to me before, and this guy was telling everyone that he created double cross, and I was like, no, Mark Sartworth did that, God rest him. But you know, and I was talking to Mark around the time, and I'd asked him to get TV rights for it, and he was like, 4 magicians have ever asked me for TV rights, and you're one of them, and everyone else just does it on fucking TV. So, you know, and we had a good friendship just being like reaching out and just being like, can I use this on TV? Is that cool? Yeah, he knew that I had opportunities to be on TV, so he was like, yeah, that's fine, you know. But a lot of people would be like, oh no, you know, that one with the X appears in my hand. Yeah, I created that. That was me.
I like being a bit open as well about that whole like magic world that exists for like people. Like, how'd you learn magic? And it's like, people sell secrets. You can buy secrets. That's how it works. And it's just, I don't say like you can buy a trick. I always say you can buy a secret. Because it just makes it sound more like Cloak and Daggers and mysterious. Then, like, I got this little plastic box and it broke in 2 minutes, so then I spent another 200 quid. But it's not as sad, but like, it's nice to credit people.
I was just mentioning, like, there's lectures and there's like, you know, like conferences and stuff, and people are like, for magic, and I'm like, yeah, like lectures, like full on lectures, and they're like you study it, and I was like, yeah. You know, they couldn't get their head around that. They were just like, you just do it, right? You know, and it's funny when you actually strip out that and you talk about the conventions and Magic Castle and
Chris Angel opened that up a lot in Mind Freak, where he had his, I think that was like one of the first times I saw consultants being interviewed on the show. And he'd have like Banachek, he'd have Johnny Thompson, he'd have even Penn and Teller popping in and talking about it and like showing them all sitting around the table, working out how they're going to do a trick. And then like other people like in Blaine specials, you see Azzy Wind and Daniel Garcia or Marcus Eddie Moore now. But like that wasn't a thing before. And it's kind of, people are now more open to the idea that like just because you see a magician, it's not just him working on stuff. It's a community working together to achieve the impossible. And by saying that, and then like even just going like, you want to do a trick that's like somebody else's trick, and you're like, I even saying to someone, like, I'd love to show you something. That the first time I saw this was a great Spanish magician called Juan Tamariz, and he did this. And Joe, you can like talk about that and like kind of enrich the world of magic to people, because enough people see bad magic, so actually getting other people's names out there that we know and are like superstars. Like we saw, like Juan Tamariz was at a Dublin convention years ago, and he walked in the room, and everyone was like, you'd swear it was Tom Cruise walked in or something. You know, everyone was losing it. But it's like trying to get those names out to the public. If we talk about it, musicians do it. They're like, oh, there was this great singer songwriter who I saw in the pub called Blah Blah, and he did this song, and it was really cool. So like, yeah, I think we should be more open that like other magicians have created stuff.
Just for the crack.
Too.
Just for the crack of that time when that guy was like, oh, I created double cross. He had said it to a promoter, and I was like, he didn't create that. Let me show you the video and the trailer. There we go. There we go. And then I was like, oh, look, there's Dynamo doing it. Oh, look, there's fucking everyone doing it.
Yeah, isn't it like the fastest way to like just ruin your reputation to just
100%. 100%. Yeah.
And magic's small world. So like if you steal someone's act, everyone's going to know. Yeah. Like there's not a lot of us out there. So we should be more supportive of each other than trying to rip each other up.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. I not just in the magic community, but clients that book entertainment. Maybe not someone that is like booking their magician for the first time, but clients that like every year they have a magician. Every year they know that they need to get entertainment for multiple events. Like they talk, and I have a client that she's become a very close client. She books me for basically everything. And she came straight up to me and was like, just so you know, another magician is trying to like snipe your location here. And I told him already that we already have a magician, and they were basically like, well, I'll do it for cheaper or whatever he's quoting, I'll do it for less. And she was like, I didn't like how that felt. It just felt icky. And she told me the person's name, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That person has a reputation for being a very shady person, and that's why they charge $250 for, like a 2-hour walk around at like a corporate, because they're just so desperate to get the work instead of focusing on their act, making themselves unique, making their magic stand out, all of this stuff. They're focusing on, oh, how can I get these deals in like the most underhanded ways possible? And it's like, just don't be that guy. Just stand out, be yourself, and people will want to book you. People will want to invite you to their events. Even if you're not a professional magician, people will want to get to know who you are and what it is that you have to bring to the table. They don't want to see David Blaine and Chris Angel and Penn and Teller all in one act because you just like decided that you wanted to do their tricks, so yeah, you're absolutely right about that. The magic community we do speak because we are a tight community, but outside of that bubble, you have that extra layer of the close community outside of magic that works with us. They all talk too, and either good or bad. They're either going to be like, oh, I would absolutely 100% recommend Steve because he's an amazing magician. I've worked with him on this event. Yeah, you 100% want to get in contact with him. But David, on the other hand, he's a bit of a cunt. You don't want to work with him. So,
because he's bald.
But to be fair, it's like Steve's tactic is, oh, you got another magician there? Yeah, I'm better, so I'll charge you double.
Oh, you better like cancel some other entertainment.
Yeah.
No, you are right though. What I find funny about it as well is you can often see times where, for example, Gregory Wilson is very character driven kind of a guy, but then you see a guy who's definitely not Gregory Wilson trying to be Gregory Wilson, and we know. Why the fuck is that guy trying to be Gregory Wilson? He doesn't have the background. He doesn't have, the aesthetic or the look or the feel or the style or anything. But he feels like that's the way, you know what I mean? It'd be like if you were trying to like steal like Dan Sparry, let's say. You want to be Dan Sparry. So you do all the makeup and you do all the stuff and you go on to like a thing. We're like, oh no, we had a guy just like this and he was really good and he was Dan Sparry. Do you know what I mean? Like how are you going to
It's like the Temu version.
Yeah.
We don't want the Temu version. We want the real thing.
Which inspire you, please? But but like, how does their patter? If you steal line for line, how can their patter work in your act? It just, I can't see it working. It just seems obvious,
Yeah, it's even like we have Irish accents, so we say stuff certain ways. If we tried to do Gregory Wilson word for word, it would just make no sense.
Yeah.
And then like if somebody else who wasn't Irish tried to speak like we do, and like we can like it's probably like me and Steve can get away cursing while performing more than other people because it's
what the fuck?
expected.
I mean, that's my go-to for like a sneak thief. Oh look, what the fuck is that? They're like, I can't see Dan Sparrow doing that.
Yeah.
That's you're absolutely
there's
right.
even things like I was doing a wedding recently, and like you judge it, like you wouldn't be swearing to the grandmother with the giant crucifix around her neck, like. But when you're
yo bitch,
yeah, like if you're doing like a triumph routine, and you can be like, when the cards are all mixed face up, face down, you're like, now in the business we have a technical term for this, it's a shit show, and it's like. Nobody else is going to say it's a shit show, but I'm going to say it's a shit show. Other people might say like, "Oh, we've technical term, it's a mess, so it's a disaster, or it's a thing." But like, or like, I might go, "It's a fucking mess." You know, and it's just like you gotta understand who you are, and that's how I'd speak normally. I swear all the time, but that's just because I'm Irish. You know, it's it's punctuation.
And
it's not ideal.
When I was in Boston before, and I went to like comedy clubs and did some magic in comedy clubs and stuff. And if you swear, even though it's Boston, they're okay with it because you're Irish. But if you're an American and you're swearing, and it's not that kind of club, it's nearly like you're insulting the audience. So if it, as I call it, like a well-placed fuck is worth anything on stage if you deliver it naturally. But if you try to put it in to be, edgy or hip or cool or whatever the fuck, I mean, that's pointless.
Yeah, I remember a funny story. Steve will remember this. Last year we were doing a gig, and there was it was like the show was advertised over 16s only.
Oh yeah.
And then we got there, and there was a little kid in the front row. He was about 11, maybe 12. I think it was his birthday. And he was sitting dead center in the front. And I ran up to Steve and was like, I'd opened, and I came off stage like, there's a kid front row, cut down on the swearing. And then I came off and I was like, Steve, you're so mad. He was like, I only said fuck 4 times. That's being good.
I was counting him. I was like, it's his birthday, so I don't want to like really like shouting at him and stuff. But yeah.
He was like, I only said fuck 4 times, and that was in the first half. Like, so.
He has like a tally mark in the back there. He says fuck.
I'm like,
tally it off. Well, I only said fuck the one. Fuck, that's 3. Okay, they keep putting it.
Yeah, you gotta be yourself.
Fuck left.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that like if Steve tried to perform, or if I tried to perform super clean, like you can do it at a corporate or something. But at the corporate, you slip in the 1 because at the right time, like maybe magician trouble or something like that, it works well. But it's like even then, when you're doing the corporate, you don't feel as much yourself. And that's where you're performing as a job rather than performing as yourself.
Like it was in the briefing for the summit because it was like 2,000 people here, and it was all like corporate, And I said it to the guy, I was like, "Is it okay, if 1 or 2 slip or whatever, or if it's in context?" And they were like, "Yeah," because there was a guy on who was like an ex-SAS guy, and he was like, "I kicked in the door and I shot everyone. I fucking and I was like, "Fucking brilliant, let's go,"
What did you say at the gig when there was people at the bar who wouldn't stop talking throughout your show? You told them to shut the fuck up.
If you're gonna shut the fuck up, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I said thank you.
Yeah,
I said thank you.
Can you please shut the fuck up? Thank you.
I was like, yeah, if everyone could buy the bar could just shut the fuck up, that'd be awesome. Thanks very much.
Speaking of which, how many fucks are you allowed before YouTube demonetizes your video, by the way?
Let's find out.
That was the one.
Yeah, it's over.
I saw my camera the other day had a thing up, and he was like, "I just want to check out Facebook's new algorithms," and he was just like, "Fuck." It was still there.
That situation of like stealing someone's act. That is the thing, that you're not going to be able to perform someone else's act if it's not you who you are. It's that thing that we talked about before.
I can imagine like trying to be another performer like perfectly, would nearly be impossible. Because even if you script for yourself, you can ad lib. But if you want to steal someone's act, you've got to go line for line, mannerism for mannerism. Like it's what an actor does. It's not what a magician does.
There was a good time where a lot of people were doing the Amazing Jonathan's bit, like all of
Oh
it.
yeah.
And it's like he almost created his own genre. I mean, obviously, comedy magic isn't something that only he does. There's a lot of, comedy magicians that the magic that they do in their act isn't even really the goal. Like, they're not even trying to fool you. It's just like, it's like a
Yeah.
throwaway gag, right?
Yeah.
But like his whole approach to it was very like irreverent to like the guests, like the people in the audience. He would say like, if you don't want to fucking be here, here's the door, you can leave. But people were laughing their asses off, and he could
Yeah.
get away with that because they get it. That's what they're going to see. That's what they paid money for.
Yeah.
That's who he is. That's his show. So when they turn up, at this backyard barbecue thing that someone hired you to come and like entertain their guests, and you start doing that, people are gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy? Who invited this guy? Did you hire him? Wait, you're paying him to be here? It's like you have to. I think David, you said it. You have to kind of know your audience, or maybe Steve said it. I apologize. You have to kind of know your
Smart,
audience.
I said it.
What's that?
It was smart, so I said it.
Oh, okay, there you
Take
go.
the credit.
I'll give this one. I called him a cunt earlier, so I'll give this one to David.
It was literally a conversation.
So
You're blaming
yeah,
us being monetizing with fuck, and you're the one who said cunt. So like,
that's
what?
true. That's fine. That's fine.
I didn't say cunt, did I?
No, Mike did.
No, I said it twice. Hey,
Oh.
as an American, I don't have any opportunity to ever say it. So this is like my therapy session to be able to get it out. Okay. So, but yeah, so shit, what was I even saying? I don't even remember.
What was it?
Oh yeah. Knowing your audience.
This badge is appropriate. I don't know, can you make that out? Hang on, it's a bit bright. Is it?
I can't see it.
Something now.
No?
No, I can't see it.
Can you see
Well,
it?
that's good for the demonetization, so we can't read it.
Yeah, they love that.
So just this is my last point, and then we can move on to the last one. But just like knowing your audience and being comfortable with them is one thing, right? If you're gonna ad lib and this and that, but you have to have a solid background. It's like if you're gonna watch a film, and the director, they need to do world building is what they call it, right? They are going to immerse you in this world. You got to build the world first. You got to understand how it works, right? If something just starts floating behind someone, just like it's just levitating there, and you're watching like an action film, people, what the hell is going on? Why is that thing just floating? But if you're watching a fantasy film like Harry Potter or something, oh yeah, the thing's floating. Like, that makes sense. We've already established in this film that shit happens. It's like kind of crazy. The freaking frog that he wanted to eat, the chocolate frog, it's a real frog now and it's moving around. Like, that stuff doesn't surprise you because you know that it makes sense in the film. So when you're putting your act together, you got to kind of have that, right? Like, if I'm a huge fan of Shutagawa and David Stone and Eric Jones, right? I can't take all three of their personalities and be like, those are my personalities. I can't come out and try to be, like the sort of like suave ladies man style character that David Stone has with a Japanese sounding accent with, I don't know.
It could even be worse than like if you mix it up. Like if you were going like, oh, I really like Shutagawa, and then I really like David Stone, and then I really like Dan Sperry, and like you open your act and you come out and maybe do a silent piece like Shutagawa, and then suddenly you're very still, very poised, and then suddenly you're jumping around, energetic like a Jay Sankey type thing, and then you're like, oh, now my next bit I just need to cover myself with the face paint because I need that for the Dan Sperry bit, and you're just like. People are going to like a multiple personality magician. And it might be a great idea to try out, but for the most part, that's not going to work.
Yeah, but it's like some tricks just don't work for certain acts. Like they just don't. You know what I mean? And even recently I saw someone stick a trick in that was in one of my shows recently, mentioning no names. But they just literally, not word for word, but just hammered the trick into their act because they thought, okay, that'll work, and it does work. It's a good trick, but I don't think it fits, But that's my opinion. But like some tricks just don't they don't suit you or they don't fit. And yeah, like you said, like David Stone stuff is all kind of suave and very French and very that's his style. But he's not pretending to be French. He's French. You know what I mean? So like,
Exactly.
it's not a big chore for him to be French. He's French.
Wait
So
till his lecture is going to come out now with a posh English accent and be like, "I've had you for years."
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
he does
should
he does like jokes like that too, where he says, I think is he English and French? He has like a mixed background.
Yeah.
But he comes out and he says, "Yeah, I'm English. Well, I'm French, right? But I'm English from my mom, and I'm French from my dad's best friend."
Yeah.
It's like he does like that sort of bit where it's like a sort of
Yeah.
humor to it, and he establishes at the get go. All right, this is his character. He's a bit of a smart ass. He's kind of a ladies' man. He's gonna do, he's gonna do like the little sneak a kiss from the girls and like all that stuff. That's his character. And then if you were to go from that to being a very serious mentalist halfway through, it's like it's
Okay,
so
everyone
jarring.
has to name two magicians that just would not work together, like as a persona.
Oh, like right now? I thought you meant like
Yeah,
in
right
the
now.
comment section afterwards.
now.
David Blaine and Stephen Merchant. Oh, not Stephen Merchant, Stephen Mulhern.
Oh, okay.
Stephen Mulhern and David Blaine would not. You can't mix that.
That'd be pretty weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like just off the top of my head, like a David Stone and like a Max Maven kind of thing, or name a serious mentalist. Who's a very serious mentalist that like they totally believe their own bullshit, like a Uri Geller type. Like you can't
Yeah.
go from a David Stone to like a Uri Geller kind of act. It just clashes. It just doesn't work.
I think I have a good one. Cyril and Eugene Berger. What the fuck would that be?
But even going from like a Eugene Berger to a Justin Willman or something like that,
Yeah,
you can't go from like serious.
Two
Like,
street.
you can't have things in your show like where you're joking around and you're fun, and then you're like, okay, now we need to be serious. But
Yeah.
there needs to be a theatrical reason, and you need to explain why you're not making jokes anymore. You can't just do it because again, like
Guys, we need to settle down now. We need to be serious, okay? And I need everyone to shut the fuck up. The reason I need you to be serious is because the guy I learned this trick from was serious, all right?
Yeah.
You guys-
On my paint, you're like, okay, I'm doing this now.
yeah.
Hold on, let me go put on my dragon costume real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
The next thing I do is really difficult. So if I will need, I will need absolute silence. I will need absolute silence to accomplish this trick. So if everyone can keep quiet, I need absolute silence because otherwise I can't remember the script in the book. Thank you so much.
It could be a funny thing at a convention though, if you were to like do a couple of acts of that and you could have someone shouting off the wings, but like, no, not that box. The box that says Jay Sankey or the box. Put on like a ball thing and be like over, but you have to be a really good, like kind of comedian to pull off all the characters.
You have to sort of be known for doing impressions, I feel like, to make that work.
The one man gala show.
Only magicians would know, so you could only do it in Blackpool because everyone would be like, "Who the fuck is Jay Sankey? Who the fuck is whatever?"
That would be so funny, just showing up to a magic convention, be like, or go on to like Britain's or Americans Got Talent and be like, I'm a magician.
I think we once, right? Yeah, and be like, they're all really good. I swear to God, but you got to Google them later on.
You're not gonna know who any of these people are, but I promise my impersonation is spot on.
Spot on. I mean, no one knows who they are, but you're going to think
Magic Cafe is going to love this.
Magic Cafe is going to love this. That one guy who's wanking with his feet. But if you were to do that though, in that way, you'd have to explain each one before you do it. So you have to show like real footage. Look, this is the guy. Now watch, this is me. It just would never work.
Yeah, I think we've really covered the topic of stealing someone's act.
Don't steal anyone's act.
15 minutes about fires, 30 minutes about stealing someone's act. Let's do a 5-6 minute segment now about technology
the
and
last
magic.
topic that we had was magic tech support, is what it's called. And it's basically inspired by Inject went down, it came back up, then it went down again, and kind of what's sort of reasonable to expect from Magic apps and that support, because it is a new area in Magic that is growing rapidly and more stuff's coming out. And then also from a sort of how to interact in this world with people as well, because it's very easy to overstep the line with these sort of things with people doing releases. And sometimes people forget that just because it's a Magic app, it's still just a Magic release, the same as other Magic releases. So for a bit of background, if people don't know, the Eject app went down. It was on, it's hosted by Google App Engine. So it's one of Google hostings for apps that went down, they blocked the Eject app. Then Greg and his team are working really hard to try and get it back up. I'm also working on a backup plan in case it wasn't allowed to come up, so they can move it somewhere else to get it sorted that way. Then it came back up. Everything looked good for a few days, and then they took it down again. So they are currently trying to figure out, last I checked, if they can get it unblocked again, while also still working on the backup plan to be able to have it anyway. So it will be back, just when and where hosted in the background, which nobody really cares about, will be the thing. But sometimes people think, oh, just move it somewhere else. But sometimes there are technical challenges that, like, there are some things that just you have access to them because you're hosting them in a certain area that you don't have as easy access to, or you'd have to do some recoding if you host it somewhere else. So there is some technical stuff there. But I think it's just interesting with Penguin released their first Magic app for a while, or the first big one. They had a little play ones, really. They weren't that serious compared to this new one called Screen Test that came out by Judah, which is it's a great app for those who have it. And they're doing it instead of a single payment. You pay $20 a year, and you can cancel whenever you want. So if you bought it and performed it and then forgot about it, and you're like, oh, it's been 7 gigs and I haven't actually used that yet, you can just cancel and not renew it. So you only have to pay 20 quid, which is a nice model, because that way they get a lot of support, and that Facebook group is super active, and Judah is making loads of updates to the app. If anyone who's a suggestion, he's like, cool, we'll give it a go, let's get it going. And it can get quite collaborative. But I think it was interesting to talk about, like, what's reasonable to expect from sort of how long an app should be supported for, how long, and then also this thing of asking for new features that weren't in the original product that got released, I think is another interesting thing. So I'll just give like my thoughts, I think, gets off the top on it. So I think it's interesting that, like, some people have, like, it needs to work for the rest of my life, which I think is unfair, because it's the developer, especially if it's not a subscription model. If you paid for something 5 years ago and an iOS update broke it, like, that's going to happen. As we were talking before about, like, when you buy any product, there's wear and tear, and like your gimmick deck breaks eventually and you can't use it anymore, and they mightn't even manufacture it anymore. Like, I had to, I lost my Deadlock by Michael Murray. It's out of stock everywhere. You can't buy a new one. Luckily, I got one secondhand. But, like, it's not like, oh my God, my Deadlock is broken, you need to send me a new one because I bought one. You know, it's like, but with Magic apps, it's somehow seen that I've bought it, so it should work forever. But again, you don't want a situation where I bought it today and it's broken tomorrow, sort of situation. So I think it's kind of interesting with, like, general electronics. Like, if I bought the Anverdi die as a product and that broke within 6 weeks, I'd be fairly pissed off and wanting a refund or replacement. So I think it's like what's acceptable for physical tech products should be kind of where we draw the line on the app sort of situation, and especially if it's something outside of people's control. Like, if something if shortcuts just change and all the shortcut apps that people have released stop working, if there's an iOS update that breaks stuff or an Android update that breaks stuff, that's not the developer's fault. They might try and fix it, but they might go, I haven't sold one of these in 3 years, so it's done. Like, it's just, it's out of stock. So I think, and then it's like sometimes people put comments in being like, what the hell? This app is broken. Fuck's sake. What are you doing? And you're just like, calm the fuck down. Be polite.
I was reading some of the comments and I was like, I know all these pricks like do it once every now and again in a pub. You're not even magicians. Fuck off. I don't have the app. I don't use the app, and I wasn't involved in it, but I was there with my popcorn going, these wankers don't even do Magic. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, 100%. Because you even see it the sometimes you be reading the comments and you're like, Jesus, like you're talking to a person, like stop. It's this thing of like, hey, what the hell? When I do this, it doesn't work. Or just like, no, hey, hope you're doing like as if you're writing an email. Like if I was writing a support ticket, I'd be like, hey, I'm having an issue with this. I've looked at, thanks so much. I wouldn't just be like, but website's broken. Send. Yeah, like,
Yeah,
you have to be polite.
broken. Send.
Yeah, because like I've got a few Magic apps, and I know other people have Magic apps, and they're people like, "Oh, are you going to release it?" And I'm like, no, because I'm not supporting it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be there when, like, number one, people who aren't good at technology buying technology and struggling. Like, it's like step one, take a screenshot. And they're like, how do I take a screenshot? I don't know. It's your phone. Like, it's different on every phone. Like, Google it.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
How do you Google it?
Yeah. How'd you Google it? That's when the slap comes.
I think for me the scariest part of the whole thing was when Inject went down. The number of comments I read from people that were like, "I don't know what the fuck to do. My whole act is gone now." Like,
Yeah.
you had to have known that this day was coming at some point. Like, what were you going to do 20 years from now when, I don't know, Apple gets bought out by some other company and they don't even, like iPhones don't exist anymore. It's something else now. Like, and I
You
have this
need an
iPhone
internet
app.
connection. What if you like? I know at least in Ireland. I don't know about other places, but like in most hotel function halls, you
Mm.
cannot get Wi-Fi because there's too many phones in there, and they're all fighting for it.
Yeah,
So you're
everyone
like,
has a lot of
oh,
phones.
I don't have any else to do. I don't use any piece of technology that I don't have a backup if it doesn't work. Like I have an inverted dice. If I don't get a read on that, I'm doing a different trick with the dice that they've rolled.
If you
You know?
if you don't get a read from them very dice through table. Good looking, thanks.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to be able to like
Yeah,
you need a backup for
of
something.
course.
Just go
Yeah.
to a one ahead. Google something. Shit, I didn't get the
How do I
notification.
one ahead?
Yeah, just
But
Google.
this
If
this
you can't do one ahead, leave.
you're dealing with. People want the lazy option. I'm not a purist in a magic sense, but if you can't do it and then make it better with the app or the gimmick, then you don't do it all. Like, but if you can do the trick and you can make it better by using the gimmick, 100% do it. Or if it's a climax to it or whatever, use the gimmick. But if you can't do a variation of it without the gimmick or on the
Mhm.
fly, just don't have it interact. But then if you're a guy down the pub doing one trick a fucking year, go fuck yourself.
It's like my digital force bag is broken. What do I do? Have you heard of a force bag?
What? I don't understand. There's
Yeah,
no phone. It's just
Yeah,
it's
no.
just a, it's a
It's a
bag.
bag.
it's a bag.
No, it's a-
Do I put a
well,
phone
it
in
might
the
be
bag?
two bags, but we won't go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
be revealing stuff.
to answer the original question about what's a reasonable amount of time. I don't know if there's a general reasonable amount of time. I would say, I mean, if you put a product out and within that year it's obsolete already, yeah, that kind of sucks, Do you owe people a refund? I don't know about that. Um, do people have the right to 1 or 2 star review your product? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if I put out a product that like within 6 7 months is obsolete now and they paid good money for it, like I get it. But on the opposite side of that too, like you guys mentioned, Inject has been out for like what, 6 7 years? How long has it been on the market for?
Yeah,
At
at
least.
least. Yeah.
At least.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a well before the pandemic. I know that for a fact. Like I said, I've never used it, but I know Greg, and I remember him showing us at our Magic Jam that we used to have in Orange County in like 2018. I think he was showing us Inject. So I know it's been around for at least 6 7 years. Imagine I bought something 6 7 years ago and now it's not working and I'm like demanding a refund and I've been using it for the last 6 7 years.
Yeah.
It's like, and
I feel
again,
sorry for people who bought Inject for Christmas. Do you know? It's like now it's like I just got
that
it.
I
But
understand though. Someone just bought it a couple months ago and now it's broken. Yeah, I think you should probably refund them. But not the guy that bought that shit 6 7 years ago that's been using it.
The year.
Yeah.
Six
And
times,
that
man. I wanted to use it. That eighth time was gonna be the one.
that was the one. That was the one that was gonna pay it off. Yeah, like I have a couple of products out right now using shortcuts. if 2 or 3 years down the road, if Apple decides they're not going to have the Shortcuts app, or they make changes to the app and functions within the Shortcuts app break the thing that I put out, I mean, am I expected in 2 or 3 years to refund, hundreds of dollars to people because the thing isn't working anymore? I mean, I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go into it knowing that there's a chance that something like that is not going to work in the future. The best way to think about it is like, you, let's just say you're gonna download a film, right? Like, I have my TV right here. I have my smart TV, and I can purchase films on Amazon, right? And it's just saved right there on my TV, right? If something happens to that TV, am I going to go to Amazon and be like, "Well, my TV shut out. Can I get my money back for the film, that I bought for my TV?"
Mhm.
Versus going out and buying the physical DVD copy of the thing. Right now, I have a physical thing that I have in my hand, versus having a Netflix subscription where I don't own the product, I'm just renting the product. I think probably the best way to go for technology stuff, if possible, moving forward, is the thing that you talked about earlier, David, having that subscription thing where, you know, it's like, yeah, when the product stops working, you you don't have to pay for it anymore. Or maybe you can do both. You can be like, look, it's a flat $200 up front to just buy it and own the rights to it, or you could pay $20 a month, to have a subscription to it. In which, if you're going to use it for 5 or 6 years, well, shit. Now I've paid like $500 for this thing, right? So maybe it might be worth it, if I know I'm really going to use it, to just buy the product. Honestly, it's all just like, you have pros, you have cons, you have risks that you're going to take when it comes to this technology. But again, it's not even just technology. If I have a thing that is a mechanical thing that I bought, a special deck of cards or some gimmick, and then the bit breaks and they don't manufacture it anymore, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's as long as the subscription is affordable. Because I see some apps out there and the subscription's 150 quid a year, and it's like,
yeah,
I'm not paying that. But like for the Penguin one being 20, it's great because it's like, if like I've used it a few times, but I haven't been using it massively. But I've been snowed in massive since I got it, pretty much. So it's not been a lot. But it's like, if this time next year I'm like, I've used it a few times, the reactions were okay, I just cancel my subscription.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
if it's becoming like a stalwart of my app that I'm using all the time, then it's worth 20 quid a year for me. And then I also like paying the 20 quid a year because it keeps Penguin and the people building the app invested, because there's nothing worse than being like, yeah, they paid 200 quid 7 years ago. It's like, I made 10 grand on this app 7 years ago, and now it's my full-time day job. Because that's the other thing I was going to bring up about, like, there's a lot of stuff now of when people release apps, it's almost seen as now it's a work in progress for all us community to work on together. And it's like people go, "Oh, I really love this app. Can you add in this feature?" That is a completely different trick. That isn't it's like there's like it's like an inject where you're peeking from Google, and it's like, can we also have it that we're peeking from Wikipedia? And you're like, that's not this. If you want that, go build it or get someone else to build it.
Yeah.
Because there are things like people can make suggestions, and if the developer, like in the screen test, Judah is making loads of things and he's available to people and doing a lot of updates. But I don't think people should be expecting this. It's not like if you release your strolling chop cup as an example, and someone is like, "Do you know what would be really cool as an extra phase? This. Can you now reshoot the video and send that out to people?" Also, the final load, if that was like a walnut that you could crack open that had a ring inside it, can you manufacture and ship that out to us for free? Thanks.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's that's why you see people doing things like Inject has extra tiers that have some of the newer, is like Inject Plus, or like even Digital Force Bag is DFBX and stuff like that, which are a lot more functionality. They have multiple out things built in and other things that are built into the app. So if you bought the initial app for 40 quid and you want the new app, it's 20. But if you haven't the old app, it's 80 to get the whole new app. That
Yeah.
sort of thing I think works. That you can for extra functionality, there's going to have to be a sort of pay, because I see people get annoyed like, oh, I paid for the app before. What do you mean I have to pay again to get a new trick? It's like, what? It's new stuff. So it's like people like, just because people are app developers, they're not working for free.
What was
Like,
the name of the thing that Mark Lemon had last year with the phone, the app thing?
oh, I can't remember the name of that. That was like the thing that everyone was like, that's really cool, probably illegal, really cool.
They're definitely in prison now.
But yeah, like yeah, that those things are massive. So
Yeah.
it's like, and that's where like magic apps are getting very like multifunctional. Like there's no such thing as I talked to Jake Keane, I was talking to him earlier today about apps and stuff, and he's got some great ones on his Patreon for anyone who is not there. Definitely look it up, and they're just like single trick apps, and they're like web apps and stuff like that, where it's like it's just like a lock screen app that does one thing and that's all it does, and it does it really well. Those are
Yeah.
the sort of things that happen because it's like all the apps now are trying to be like Inject has about 20 different tricks you can do with it, which is just a huge amount of maintenance then obviously that's needed because the code base is getting so big. But when it's a small simple app, it's a lot easier to control, and then you can sell it for a tenner. And if people aren't that invested, if it breaks.
That's the thing, though, too. A lot of people don't want, and when I say people, I mean creators, don't want to invest a lot of time and energy into the tenor. They were like, I would rather go all the way in and develop this massive thing and charge 150 pounds for it than to get a tenor off someone and sell maybe 30 of them and not really make, not really make my
This
money
thing is
back.
like you get that 150 quid, but that is now your full-time job. Keeping that monster online. Because
Yeah.
that's the situation. Is like I work as a manager of a software development team. I was a software development person for years. People are like, oh, it's just like it's coded and it's stable and you sleep with it. Nothing is stable. Everything has bugs. Everything is always being updated. You're hosting on a server, you get an email being, we're upgrading our servers. Your thing's going to be down for 4 hours. You're like, oh crap. And then
And you're like, oh, I'm in the middle of my gig. What do I do?
yeah,
My whole act. I
yeah,
charge I
100%.
charge my client $3,000 for this gig now, and I can't do it because the thing
Like
is
one of the things
updating.
that one of the good updates that was done to screen test that I think it was a good thing that they did, and I do think it was needed and might have been something that could have been in the initial release, was it uses ChatGPT or OpenAI to do some of the work. So it's using that AI, but ChatGPT went down for 4 hours or something. Like there was an outage. A lot of Microsoft stuff went down, and including that. So it was struggle. So then the app stopped working, but now it's got a fail safe that it's not as the text that people see isn't as good as it would be if it was using the AI, but it's better than your app coming up. Like
It'd
you
be
go
great.
to the website and it
You know, if
doesn't.
you flipped of the app and it was just crashed or whatever, instead of like it just being crashed, it should just come up like, learn a bit of Switch, you bitch.
If you control the error message, the app wouldn't be down. That's the problem.
In my app, it would.
Shout out every website. But yeah, that's the thing is
Yeah.
that like it's even like in technology when technology is relying on other technology, you need a backup for that. And then so it's like the app has a backup for when the AI is not working to not use AI. You need to have a backup for when the website's not working that goes through it as well. Because you like I have a backup for everything, even if it's not technology. Like I don't like I'm never going in being like, oh, I'm gonna do a pass. And it's like, what if they see the pass? Well, then I do something else. What if they see like you've gotta be able to have backups for stuff because it never goes perfectly.
Or even just props. You never turn up to a deck with one, or never turn up to a gig with one deck of cards because you're going to be performing, and then of course there's going to be that drunk guy that spills beer on your cards or something, and now you're like, well, I guess I'm going home. I don't have anything else to show you guys. I can just go to my box. I can go get another deck of cards real quick.
And you're like, and my inject isn't working. I'm fucked. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like that's just like having a little
You're
bag
like,
there with you, and it's like, or other tricks. It's like, oh, my deck of cards is screwed. I guess I'm doing billet work, or I'm doing coin work for everyone else, or I'll use my evoke deck, or I'll use my Pokemon cards, or I'll use whatever you have to have other options.
yeah.
What can go wrong will go wrong.
What I have learned, though, from this whole conversation that I had with you guys today is I need to have my final load, my chalk cup be a walnut with the spectator's ring in it now. That sounds
Definitely.
like an
A
amazing
hinged walnut.
That's
That is a
like-
shaped walnut.
with the
That's exactly what that sounds like.
That'll work great. So that's
I don't
all
know who.
magic news. I actually think this is our longest episode yet.
that's good. That's gonna be great for the ad revenue though, for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna love it, especially with all the family friendly conversations.
That's true. Yeah, David, you're gonna have to go through and censor all of that now.
You can just mute me from the start. Fuck it.
It's not that late. What is it, like 10 o'clock? You still got a couple hours.
It's only 9:10. I'll have a load of I'll just put a beep at the very start, the whole way through the end, just for a brief
Just have
break.
censor
for
bars
the-
across our mouths the whole time.
Yeah. It's the it's now every magic podcast is just full of swearing. So what are we gonna do? It's who we are. But yeah, that's all the news we have. I think the next one we're coming up on. We might do one maybe at the start of February, and then we'll probably do something at Blackpool. Steve won't be there. Oh, but we can do one anyway. And we'll get
Bring a little like a little with the stick with the mask, and every time Steve has something to say, I'll just like throw it up real quick and
100%.
I think I have one of Steve's old posters, like
in his little hat. I'll take this hat off. I'll put the black cap on.
Yeah.
Done. Just cut a little slit out of the picture and just stick your tongue out.
It's like
That'll do.
it was Andrew Garfield showed up to a premiere of his movie with a full size cardboard cutout of Florence Pugh because she couldn't make it. He just carried a full size cutout of Florence Pugh around the red carpet. So I'll just have to get that done.
Yeah, we got time. We still got what?
You got time.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
3-4 weeks?
Will it need its own plane seat though? That's the problem.
100% it will. I'm not flying the economy. Put that mask in first class, for fuck's sake.
100%. We get it going. But yeah, thanks everyone if you did watch all the way through. We appreciate it. And I guess we'll be back again next month with more of What is the Crack.
Stay safe.
Talk to you soon. Stay safe.